Hi, my amazing planner friends. It's Jess from My Magical Planner. Today I'm going to be planning out the week of October 3rd through the 9th using my Sadie stickers subscription from August, which has this beautiful October themed kit. So I thought it would be really nice before I start doing Halloween kits to use this one. And I'm not feeling super good today, so this will probably end up being a voiceover, and it may not all get planned out tonight either. Anyhow, I'll meet you guys in the voiceover. Before we get into this, I just wanted to say thank you to you guys for being patient with me as it took a little extra time for this particular plan with me to get out. I was kind of frustrated with it, to be honest, that it was taking me so long. So just thank you for that. I also swear I recorded an unboxing of this kit, but I can't seem to find it to link it for you guys. So I'm sorry about that. It's a beautiful kit. It perfectly embodies October and was the August subscription. I started this plan with me by doing the washi at the bottom. I don't usually start down here, but for this particular kit, I had a general idea of what I wanted to do at the top, but I've been feeling a little stuck. And so I was trying to change some things up, which means I had to use a little bit more brain power, and the washi was just easy for me. It's, put it down. It looks beautiful just the way it is. And really, that's the case with everything in this kit. You don't have to do all these extra things to it. For me, it's just a newer version of scrapbooking, but in a functional way, because my planner has to function in order for it to be practical for me. Anyhow, I'm putting down the days of the week at the top. So she has reformatted the kit. So those days of the week have become smaller, which I think is going to make it easier for me to include some more fun elements up there at the top in coming months. If you want to see that reformat, I will link this month's unboxing of her mystery subscription up above so you can kind of see that. The leaf date dots I'm pulling in now are from the Pretty Pink Co. I think they're absolutely gorgeous. I think I picked them up last year sometime, so I don't know if they're still in the shop, but I might go back and look and see if they have them because I thought they looked beautiful in this kit and they're just perfect. They're the correct size and they bring in that little fall element that I was really looking for. I also really wanted to bring in some of the florals from the kit, so I'm just going through and I'm cutting just the edge off of some of these bouquets to be able to place them at the top. That's the only way I've found to make it the right size. And if I do that, I have so much of it left for other areas that even if I'm just cutting off a little bit of a dozen of them or something, I don't feel like I'm not going to have enough florals later on. You can also put some up there and then come back and fill in more later if you are worried about that type of thing. I did also pull in some pumpkins and I have some little vines there. Those are from the Sticker Guru. That was, I think, on her freebie that she sent me for last month. And then I also am pulling in some leaves that were from either Sadie. Oh no, those ones are from Pretty Pink Co. But I also have ones from the Olive Planner Co. who I think have closed down since I got them because I got most of these last year. And then I'll also be pulling in some leaves from Letters to Apollo because I have quite a few of her leaves that are absolutely stunning. I did decide that I wanted more floral than leaf up here because I felt like it was kind of detracting from the dates at the top because those leaves were solid, the others are not, and I just wanted the dates to be more of the focal than the other leaves. The other leaves are just supposed to be there as kind of decoration as a side, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to go through. I'm trying to make it balanced as the amount of floral I used on both sides so that one side doesn't feel like it has more floral than the other and your eye isn't going one side or the other. It's more even. Now I do want to pull in the same kind of foiled elements that I pulled on one side to the other. That also helps with that evenness element. I loved putting this taller stack of pumpkins at the end of the week. It just felt perfect for there. I did end up pulling off that leaf because I wanted to add more of the pumpkin vines because I think I decided that I wanted more pumpkin-y up at the top, and I ended up using the leaves throughout. So it really makes me think of the beginning of fall. As leaves are starting to fall, you have these great pumpkins that, at least here in Michigan, we have all these roadside stands where people sell pumpkins for like $5 out of their gardens. And it's just adorable, and I love it, especially with the, big oak trees all in bloom, which they are. Our peak color is kind of between this week and next week, I think. So it's really fun. I also knew I wanted to use this October sign up here in the top to kind of label my month, but I didn't want to use the box that said October. So having the sign as an option was really fun. And then I'm layering on more pumpkins because I just loved them. And I felt like it kind of brought your eye down and into the spread. Then I'm using a sign from Harriet Wright Designs to overlay a meal. I'm really liking using these signs for this. I just think it's a nice, like, almost here's your restaurant for your house type thing, and then you have your menu for the week below that, and it just really looks nice. I went ahead and pulled in one of the florals that I had trimmed off the side of for the top to kind of bring those elements together a little bit. Then I'm laying down my habit trackers. I have decided that they're not really working for me right now, so I am going to start taking those out of my spreads at least for a couple of weeks. Then I placed down one of the Paper Doll Co. girls that I thought matched the spread really nicely there at the bottom. We'll go back and decorate around her in a few minutes. I do put down a to-do list there on Monday. I overlaid a smaller to-do arrow that I'd gotten from Harriet Wright Design. I don't think those are still in her store, but you can double check on me. I really like the look of layering the two on top of each other, and then put my checklist below that. Below that, I'm using the microphone actually to mark Emily's speech therapy, which we do on Mondays. It's going really, really well. And if you have an autistic kid, speech therapy is so much more than talking. It is amazing to see the differences that are coming out because of this. Anyhow, below that, I did mark that I was going to meet with my friend Kirsten. That actually, to be honest, I didn't take Emily to speech, and I didn't go to that. My husband ended up having to take Emily because I have stomach problems, and he ended up needing to take her that particular day. And so that meant that I did not meet with her. Planning time is what I marked next. And I do pull in a leftover. Well, actually, I think these, more than leftover, they're like freebies. So I put some of my freebies in my book as well, and I'm able to pull from it. I've organized my sticker leftover book more to categories, which makes it easier for me to find things to pull in. Below that, I did have to mark Megan's skating, and I'm just pulling in a small floral on the sides. You'll notice I'm going from side to side. That kind of helps your eye bounce back and forth, and it looks more aesthetically appealing to most eyes. So just know that you're trying to balance from one side of the column to the other. So if you have all of your icons on one side, it can feel a little heavy on the other side. It doesn't mean that every box you have to bounce back and forth. You could have a couple in a row on one side and then bounce to the other side and have a couple in a row on that side. It just means you need to even it out between the two if that's what you want. So I did use one of these mini boxes here at the bottom. I really loved this box and the swooshes at the top. I am so bad at putting down the swooshes myself, although I did try it here and later in the spread, and I think it turned out pretty good. At the bottom, I am marking Ethan's work with just overlaying two of the circles next to each other. That's in part because I was running out of room and knew I needed to include that because I need to know where cars are. If you don't know, I do have 4 kids. Ethan is my oldest. He's turning 18 in this particular week. And then I have another son and 2 daughters. Their schedules tend to be my life, which, is just kind of what it is. I did mark down everything for my to-do list, which included menu planning because I hadn't gotten to it yet. And I think I started doing the spread Monday morning because I was just really behind on things. On Tuesday, we do have a 6:50 lesson for my daughter Megan, who's an ice skater. It is hard to get up that early, but so important. I love that I could use this little swatch box that already had florals on it, so I didn't have to add anything to it. It makes for a simple addition. And then I kind of messed this part up a little bit. I was putting down groceries and then I was like, oh gosh, Emily has Run Club, and so I need to move it down. I used a script from Harriet Wright Designs, and the little bag with the groceries was actually from White Deer Stationery. So I just pulled it all off and then I moved it down so I could go ahead and put in Run Club, which I used one of the page flags and then overlaid a little bit of the floral with it. I do think the page flags could be a little shorter because I feel like with it covering the whole column, it's a little less aesthetically pleasing, but you can always shorten those. I did also use that kind of squarish paper from the journaling kit to mark therapy. This is my therapy. So I call it my support because I have 2 autistic kids, 3 with ADHD, 1 with anxiety, and I have anxiety myself, as well as some minor depression. So I just kind of need a support group. And so my therapy is my support group where I can talk out all the challenges that we have and everything. Below that, I did mark that I wanted to edit the haul I had recorded the previous day. I also marked in $2 Tuesdays so I wouldn't forget to post about that on Instagram because I am on the PR team for Sticker Guru. All of that information is down below if you need that. Then I kind of ran out of space, so I decided to overlay one of the midi boxes on top of the decorative box so that I can mark in here that I wanted to have a post. I try to post on Tuesdays and Thursdays as well as a plan with me on Sundays. That isn't always the case. The one video I try to religiously make sure goes up is the Sundays one, so just know that that's the general idea, is that I'll do 6 p.m. on Tuesday and Thursday, and on Sunday I try to do around 3. But, life happens. Anyhow, on the next day, I did part that decorative box at the top. I adore this box. I love the hanging lights. It's so different than any of the other boxes or kits that I've seen that I love things that are different and unique. So I put that there. I used one of the square boxes along with like that little coffee mug to mark editing, plan with me, and I don't think that happened. I think something came up. And then below that, I did use another one of the arrows and overlaid a leftover script. I want to say that was from Miss Meow to mark cleaning. And then I put a Joy of Planning little cleaning girl next to her because I just think they're adorable, and had my list down below. Then I had that the girls had haircuts that I marked with a floral, as well as those scissors are from White Deer Stationery. However, that did get canceled because there's like this whole thing with my hairdresser. She like quit or was fired. It's really unclear to me. So all of our haircut appointments kind of went wonky. Below that, I did use a notepad thing to mark Megan's lessons for that day, although they did also end up getting canceled because of her coach's daughter's birthday, which was that day. So I do get a lot of questions about what do you do if something cancels after you've planned everything? And here's what I personally do. I leave it because it's just the way our life goes. I'll mark in there that it was canceled, or if something else came in instead, I just mark it in there and leave it and go on. All right, now on to Thursday. I did use another one of those pre-decorated boxes at the top to mark Run Club. And then I knew I wanted to bring in the paper elements. So I went ahead and kind of made a box out of them. So I have 1/2 on the top and 1/2 on the bottom, and then added florals on both sides to kind of make an interesting box for me. Below that, I did mark that I had a subscription that was supposed to come in that day. It was from Sterling Ink. It actually ended up getting delayed, so that unboxing has not happened yet. Hopefully that will be the Thursday video though, because I am also on Sterling Ink's PR team. Again, details down below. Below that, I did mark Emily's therapy by bringing in one of the lounges from Crafts by Towie and one of the layering icons and layering it with a floral. So I didn't really need a box there. I'm going to go ahead and jump ahead to be kind of caught up with where we are. I also knew that I wanted to mark Megan's lesson a little bit differently. I wanted to use one of these stamp-like boxes that I love, but I also wanted to incorporate another box below it. So I just kind of layered the two so it would look really nice together. I think you could also layer it like that and have two separate events on there. I just use it for the one. I think next time I might do two though, because it kind of was cool and I really enjoyed it. And then I marked planning time above that just with some florals and my script there. Below that I am marking Ethan's surprise. So I decorated his car at school for him by filling it completely with balloons and wrapping it in caution tape because, you know, it's what a mom does. Anyhow, I am cutting down some florals and having them come from inside the box rather than outside the box. I think it's a nice little change. And then I added some streamers from Sadie's stickers that I think I got those in a grab bag and they work really well. I did pull in a party little cap. I had a hard time picking which one because I was afraid they didn't look like hats and they just looked like little mountains or something. But I think in the end it looked really cute. Below that, I am marking IKEA shopping. So for his birthday, he wanted a new desk. So we went to IKEA and kind of shopped around to kind of find the right one for him. I did use a little shopping bag from Crafts by Towie. I think that came on a freebie and I've decided that I need to go look for that icon. I need it in my life on a permanent basis. Below that, because of the amount of space that I had kind of already used up and I had more things to mark, I'm using just one of the headers and marked on it the hockey game that was that evening that the rest of my family went to because we have season tickets, and then just put in this floral at the bottom. I used the rest of the floral to kind of give myself another area that I could mark something. So I'm marking that we wanted to look at rearranging his office, or he has a kind of a hangout area in the basement and just kind of rearranging it to fit him better. Then we're going to start on Saturday. I started with putting down the things that I knew exactly what time they had to be because the weekends tend to have a lot more flex time. And for Megan, she didn't have lessons on Saturday for a change, so I didn't have a lot of top heavy stuff I needed to put in here. So I knew that Dan had work, so I went ahead and marked that with a Crafts by Towie little burger and fries thing because he works at a burger joint. Then I'm going to pull in some deco in the box above that to mark Ethan's party. I really liked this little pumpkin, and then I just wanted to have a little floral next to it. I like having the room between the box and the side to kind of fill in with that floral. I think it makes it look really nice and also doesn't encroach on that box. So he had just, some friends over for hangout and stuff for his birthday. I did also mark cleaning above that because we always do a pickup before people come over. I think everybody does. And then I kind of decided I wanted a present in there for Ethan's birthday. And the only ones I have are these clear ones. I think it would have looked a little bit better with one that was on like white so that you didn't see the line going through the back of it, but still pretty cute. Then I have the upload kind of be prepared for Sunday thing. Always a great plan. I don't think it happened, but it's always a great plan. And then there at the bottom, I did mark that I needed to update my husband's database. I'm helping him keep track of some of his work projects because he has like his normal job and then he has a fiber business and it's just a lot for one person. So at the bottom, I kind of pulled in some more florals to fill in that space down there. I knew that things would come up and I'd probably end up adding something there. And I also had so many florals still to use that I wanted to make sure that I was pulling enough of them in because why not use them if I have them? So I added a little bit of floral there above the two double box. Well, there's not actually a double box. The two boxes I put side by side there and a little bit further up, kind of making these into smaller clusters. Then I knew for Sunday I wanted to use the two half circles to kind of mark the boys' work. So I put those down and then put florals on top, but they still felt really, really empty for me. And so I'm going to go ahead and mark, what needs to be on those boxes. And Then I was like, okay, what can I do to make this look better? Because I don't like the way this looks. And while I was kind of contemplating that, I found this weekend script that was actually left over from Glam Planner, like her October kit. It was pumpkin, something that I used last year. And I just like the way that it kind of went with the colors of this kit. It is also on a glossy paper, but the difference didn't seem to draw away from the design or anything. So don't be afraid to kind of check those type of things out and say, you know, just because this is a glossy paper and I'm using matte paper for my kit doesn't mean you can't mix the two. At least personal opinion there. Below that, I did mark some craft time with the girls by using a leftover paint palette from Two Little Bees and some florals there. Now, this is where I'm starting to bring in, these were the foils that came with this particular kit, and I wanted to add to this kind of drapery effect of the weekend script. So I'm pulling in a bunch of those and just kind of layering them on top of each other until it looked right. I really struggle with using these and making them look nice, but for once I think it worked. So I think you just have to play around with them and kind of just be willing to move things around or shorten or lengthen things as needed to make it work for what you're doing. I also thought I wanted to use the rest of these little leaf borders, so I'm adding them in a few different places, kind of to add emphasis. I thought below the planning time would help separate those two a little bit and maybe draw a little bit more attention to my planning time. And I liked it below that October sign. And then I started looking at the leaves on the October sign and went, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to add leaves to everything. And I'm going to continue that line that starts up in the corner with the October lane. So I am adding in a couple of florals while I'm working out the details in my brain and just kind of going, okay, I have these bigger leaves. So I want to add these around these boxes to kind of add to that line from the sign. And I really, really like the way that this came out and the overall effect on the spread. So I'm just tucking in a bunch of them. And at first I was just going to do it for this little portion. And then I was like, wait, I don't have to stop here. I can make it go completely across the page. So I just kind of added them in a general line across the page that kind of went with the blowing of the leaves on the sign. And then I was like, I need to add these on the other side to balance. So I went ahead and started pulling them on the other side and started to do this same kind of general direction because I figured if the wind was blowing, it would be blowing leaves from the same area kind of in that direction. So that's what I'm doing here. I think adding them up to the upper left corner with my October sign really filled out that space nicely. And then here's where I'm going to come back in and fill in some space around my paper doll girl at the bottom as well. I wanted to use all of the ones that I had on this sheet. I think these were also from the Pretty Pink Co. And I really appreciate them and how large they were. A lot of times I think I go for the smaller deco when occasionally having something that's a little bit bigger can have such an impact. So it's always nice to have it in your arsenal. So once I had all of those down, I decided I also wanted to add in some florals on the side. This is something I've really been enjoying doing. I think you could do this also with like one of the longer floral trims that people have started making. And I just think they're amazing. So I knew that I wanted the florals to be a little closer together there and not have that big dip down. So I just cut off a portion of it so I could get it in the right position. Don't be afraid to do that with your florals so that you can make them look nice connecting to each other. It's super easy to do and doesn't look bad because once you stand back, it all kind of goes together. So I'm just cutting off a bunch of little floral pieces here and setting them on the side and kind of cutting them down in different ways to make them go together. And the nice thing is when you do stuff like that, you can pull in those other elements in different spots to fill in other gaps. So I do end up having quite a bit of floral left over from this kit. I think it's like the size of a normal, small page you would get from a shop, to be honest. So I love having the flexibility of having so much floral. I do go through, and some of these were ones that I had trimmed from the top that I still had on here. So I'm going through and making smaller incisions to cut them down and use them here. The key is to not overwhelm the space and still be able to read everything. Originally, I was going to stop just around the girl, but decided I wanted them going all the way up because I just like that. Anyhow, that's pretty much it for this Plan With Me. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and leave them down below. I'm happy to answer anything that you want answered. And until next time, I'll see you guys real soon.
I know it's nothing new, but it's so good to see you. We do this every day, and I'm still so amazed by you. So hold me tight through the night. It's just us two, me and you. Oh, oh, I can't believe you love me. Oh, oh, I just feel so lucky. Oh, oh, still can't believe you love me. I hope it never ends, this being more than friends, yeah. You know I'm here to stay every single day.